to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Mats podcast. And this week's guest, so I'm welcoming him back, but you all haven't had this guest before. But he and I recorded previously and had some technical difficulties. I'm willing to admit my failures here, so that's all right. But I'm welcoming back fellow grappler and also rapper, musician, recording artist, Lear. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Pleasure to be back for the first time.
Back for the very first time. Awesome. Thank you for your patience and thank you for doing this with me. I really, really do appreciate this.
Of course, man.
So one of the things I really wanted to venture into here, just conversation wise with you, is not only do you participate in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, much like many of the guests on here, myself, but you also have a rap album that a few of the memes have been included in some of your music in it. I know I've used some myself personally, and I've been hearing it pop up on a few different videos now. So the title of the album is The Gift Wrap, and I like the name. I think it's very clever and personal to myself, just because that's one of my favorite sweeps, although I don't believe that was the intention. But excellent work either way. So just kind of jumping into your experiences in grappling, when did you get started with jiu-jitsu?
I started, I think, back in 2015. So my dad, he's a preacher, a minister, and he travels the country speaking at different churches and camps and whatnot. And one weekend he was scheduled to speak down in Amarillo, Texas. And there was a guy down there who was a black belt in jiu-jitsu and in kickboxing. And he planned to move up to Detroit that's where I'm from, planned to move up to Detroit to open up a gym. That was going to be a ministry as well. And so he, met with my dad and, tried to figure out what to expect moving to Detroit and whatnot. And I was there during the conversation. And afterwards, he told me, it's like, hey, if you're free and you want to help out, I will train you for free if you help out with the kids program and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, sure. I'd love to do something like that. I've always wanted to do martial arts. So that was my first foray into jiu-jitsu. Been going at it ever since.
Good. And when you got into it, was there any specific reason why you were interested in it? Were you, as far as martial arts goes, did you have a history of it, or were you just kind of like, you know what, I see something now, this looks fun, let me go ahead and jump in? So, why, or what led you into really wanting to get into this?
I guess so. I mean, there's a couple reasons. So I've always wanted to do martial arts my whole life, and I never had the opportunity. I think I did one karate class with a friend or something like that. I did one wrestling class with a couple buddies, but I was never able to commit and to stick to anything. And at the time, before I started jiu-jitsu, I was actually looking into Krav Maga. I'm actually kind of embarrassed to say that, but I was looking at the Krav Maga, and I wanted to be like Jason Bourne and Jack Bauer, all these guys. But jiu-jitsu, I guess it kind of stuck with me just because, or I stuck with it because it's real and it works. And then another reason was because it's hard, it's difficult. I feel like at that point in my life, I hadn't really been challenged by too many things, and this was something that was definitely challenging for me. So I wanted to stick it out all the way through to the end. I think the first week classes, I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna get my black belt no matter what happens. I'm sticking. I'm all the way through to the end.
Good. I like that. And What do you train out of?
I train out of Voyage Martial Arts in St. Clair Shores, Michigan.
What's your belt rank right now?
Right now, I'm a purple belt.
Cool,
Yeah, got like
cool.
three stripes.
Oh, nice. All right, that's
Yeah.
cool. Uh, do you actively compete, or is this more of a a goal as kind of you're pursuing it, but more as a hobby and just kind of taking the casual route, or are you getting out there on the competition trail?
Yeah, I mean, I do train as this part of the lifestyle, but I like to get out and compete as much as possible. I competed 2 weekends ago at like a submission only event, and I actually got an invite to be on the undercard of an event coming up in April. So I think that event should be televised on Flow Grappling. So that'd be pretty cool. First time I've ever done anything big like that. So big for me,
Okay.
for sure.
No, that's big. That's big time right there. I mean, that's real cool. I definitely want to try to touch base with you around that time, right before, if you willing to come back on to discuss going into that event, because that sounds really really cool. So good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd love to.
Uh, I always like to ask this question because I think about when I first got out there on the mats and just what was going through my mind. Can you recall, your first, just like kind of those feelings stepping onto the mat and committing to jiu-jitsu?
Um, I don't know. I didn't really know what to expect. Like I had never, I didn't know what jujitsu was at all. I had no clue what to expect, and I'd seen like a little bit of MMA, so I kind of seen like Anderson Silva throw up a triangle choke once or twice or something like that. But I never like studied jujitsu, and I didn't know anything about jujitsu in depth before I stepped onto the mat. And so my first class, I was grappling with my professor, Sean Fouts, and he just destroyed me. And I was just like, man, this is incredible. This is awesome. It's like a superpower, that I don't have yet, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it for sure. And so it was just a rush of like adrenaline and confusion and frustration and all that, but it just blended together as motivation to keep doing it.
Nice. Have you had to use your jiu-jitsu in any kind of outside scenario, just kind of diffusing the situation or anything?
No, thankfully I haven't. I haven't, come into any kind of situation where I had to use jujitsu either, for defending myself or anybody else. Other than, friends sneaking up behind you and putting you in rear naked choke and bulldog choke and stuff like that. But yeah, nothing serious. Yeah.
All right, good. Good. Staying safe out there in those streets of Michigan.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. The main streets.
Yeah. we went we went back in 2019 for a family reunion, and I remember my wife was like, we were staying downtown near the stadiums. She was like, "You want to walk up the street for breakfast and get a bagel?" And I was like, "Girl, I'm not walking any streets in Detroit at all. No, we're not doing this." It's changed since I've been there as a kid, but yeah, like I was like, I don't. There's no amount of jujitsu in my back pocket that's going to keep us from getting mugged, and we didn't get we didn't get mugged. Yeah,
Yeah,
I had some good bagels that morning, um, and then met up with family. So I guess things can change.
yeah.
Um, and what's your favorite submission?
Favorite submission, I would have to say rear naked choke. I love rear naked choke. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Always try to
You got
attack, get to the back, and finish there. So
that's always a safe one. Once you get somebody's back, you're in control of the situation. You should be, at least. I'm not.
right.
I get someone's back and I'm like, what do I do from here? Like, choke them.
Hog them, hog the neck.
just don't fall off. What? Too late. Then is there any specific area that you feel like you're currently working on that's kind of out of your normal wheelhouse?
Uh, right now, I would have to say like leg locks. I think that's like a area of the game that I kind of neglected, like in lieu of working on like other fundamental skills and stuff like that. So I think definitely a leg lock game, and it's very, very deep and wide. And I'm learning that now. Got some good guys that I'm working with locally, and guys at the gym too. It's I don't know, it's weird. It's once you get into it, it's kind of like crack. You get your first heel hook, and it's like, oh man, I like this. This is the power of the dark side. Feels good.
Yeah, it's always that. It only takes one. Once you get that
Yeah,
first hit, it's like, ooh,
uh, gateway drug.
for sure. Um, in kind of getting into the music part of it now with you. So the neat thing about this album is that it's jiu-jitsu based. It's it's not like, oh, I have a song about jiu-jitsu on here. It's like a good run. Just pretty much I'm pretty sure it's like every song, right?
Yeah,
That's got a
pretty much.
jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
thing to it.
Excuse me.
Um, what influenced the album for you? Like, what made you want to go in this direction?
Um, you know, I dropped my first jujitsu song back in I think it was 2018, like August or September, and it was just from like people at the gym that I was training at, or the gym that I train at currently. Like I would put out, I think I put out like one track on YouTube, and they were like, "Oh, this is really good." And I didn't think it was that good. And they're like, "Man, when you coming out with a jujitsu song," and I was like, "I don't know." And one day, like the inspiration just came, and I started writing and looking for beats, and it all just kind of came together after that. And so, you know, following, I think like 2019, I dropped another jujitsu track, and at that point, I was just like, I feel like this one, the first one did pretty well, so I wanna do another one, see how that does, and then kind of like with the whole leg lock thing, it just became addictive. Um, and then yeah, I dropped another song, and then like everybody at the gym was like, "Oh, when's the album coming out?" And I was like, man, why they had to say that? I gotta start working on an album. And so I just started writing. When I started writing the album, I think it was like April of 2021, I believe actually. And
Okay.
so I just started writing, like it was crazy, like the most I've ever written in my life before. And it was like prior to that, I've written a couple songs, but I never finished too much. And I was like finishing like probably like two songs like a month. And I was writing like crazy, and I came out with like so much content. I was just like, all right, I gotta do this. There's no way I can't do it now. I have too much to just sit on. So yeah, it was a wrap after that.
So one of the thoughts that I was having earlier as I was listening to the album again while at work is, uh, did, were you do you have any history before this, like with writing? I was always wondering that as well. Like, were you a writer before? Did you play any instruments before? What's your musical background or history?
Uh, don't have much of a musical background. Tried to like pick up piano when I was in high school. It never really stuck. I never learned how to read music or anything like that. It was just like playing by ear. But I've always loved music. I've always loved to listen to like any kind of genre. Whether it's you know hip hop, rock, jazz, classical, a little bit of country, a little bit of everything. Like I just try to any song that I feel like is good. I'll listen to it regardless of the genre. I don't care. Um, and so writing, I guess, came like after college. I just like I've always been big on downloading instrumentals. Like I'd be in like elementary school on like LimeWire and FrostWire, just downloading beats, like instrumentals, and, like still DRE and stuff like that. And I'd always just like keep them, in my music library and listen to them while I'm reading or stuff like that. And I just had all these beats stashed away somewhere, and I was just like, all right, let me see if I can write to this song, and write a little, try to write a little rap, and memorize it and whatnot, and record myself. And if I felt like it was good enough, I'd show a friend, and they'd be like, "Yeah, it's kind of whack." I'd be like, "All right, thanks for the feedback." But yeah, I just kept on writing and downloading beats and stuff like that. So it's kind of how I got into all this. So.
Okay. Actually, we share that in common. Actually, I during the download era, that's all I would do is download instrumentals and then
Yeah.
just kind of write over. Because when I was younger,
Sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. Um, when I was younger, I listened to a lot of Sade, and for
Okay.
some reason, I couldn't understand her. I think it was just like there's like a mellow like tone that as I'm listening to it, it was kind of like her flow just kind of like I listen to it now and I know all the words, but I don't know. In elementary school, I just didn't understand, so I would write
Yeah.
my own words over top of her melody.
Okay.
And then as I got older, started downloading just instrumentals, and as long as I knew how the song goes, I would be able to write to it. I never went anywhere with it, obviously, but because I'm doing a damn podcast and not recording music. But so same thing. High school, I actually played the flute in middle school,
Mm,
and that carried over to the piano in high school myself, but
nice.
not really too much there. So like hearing your story was like, oh, dude, there's like some similarities there. All right, I can dig it. Um, so with your influence with music and being very open, another similarity that we have there. Who would you say musically was a bigger influence for you?
As far as like artists that I tried to like pattern their style, so like hip hop, my biggest influences I say are like Nas. So I love Nas. Like all through high school, I would just be listening to Nas and like Gangstar and all these old school hip hop artists. Uh, Currently, semi-current, I guess I like guys like Logic, um, and then like the probably artists that a lot of people don't know, like because they are in like the Christian rap circles. But Andy Mineo and Lecrae, those are also big influences. And then this other guy named Jared Sanders, who I feel like he's like a guy that could take on any artist, like any rap artist, bar for bar. Like he's just so creative and his flow was just so like tight and refined. And I love his style. So those are guys that like I thought are really good. And I try to listen to them and you know draw like my own style from theirs. And, same with like MF Doom. Like I'm a big Doom fan. So and he has a very unique style. So I try to take a little bit of that and mix it into my music. Whenever I can. But,
Okay. All right. I just thought about it too. How old are you?
I'm about 32.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
I guess because when you said like old school rappers like Nas and Gangstar, I was like, hey, old school. Oh, I guess I, I keep forgetting I'm old. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
no, but that's cool. That's real cool. And with your writing process, as you say, you sat down, you did a lot of writing during that time. Like, could, could you like describe that process? Was it just at random, like you'll just get a thought, you'll sit down, or did you like have writing sessions with yourself? Just you say, you know what, I think I want to sit down and devote this time to this.
So I would try to do that, and whenever I tried to intentionally like sit down and carve out a block of time just to write, I would get like extreme writers, but nothing would come. And I try to force it, and it just sounded like so whack. So it was really whenever the inspiration hit. Like I'd be driving. I know this probably isn't the best thing to admit, but I'd be driving, and I get like an idea. I get a verse, and I just be like on my phone, like writing it down in my notes. So I guess I could have used the voice to transcribe it, but I was just like, gotta get it immediately. And So that and like shower thoughts, just like at the most random times. Like, I just be like, all right, gotta remember this. Once I get out of the shower, I'll run down, type it on my phone. When I wake up in the morning, like I'll grab my phone on my bed table and just like, start writing stuff out. So yeah, whenever the inspiration struck, I just try to, you know, roll with it.
Yeah, that seems to be the case with a lot of writers. I remember watching a documentary with Shania Twain when she like finally got signed and everything. They were talking about like, all right, it's time to have a writing session. They sit down in a room, and she was like, "That's not how this works for me." It's the same thing. She had writer's block in the room when it was time to sit down and have a writing session, but you know, just when you get that inspiration at a random moment, whether it be driving in the shower, on the mats, even,
Right.
it's like, I got to get this idea down. And like, has that ever happened on the mats too for you? Have you been rolling and then in between it's like, okay, let's take a break, and you're like, shit, I got to go write this down.
You know what? It hasn't happened like on the mats. It like walking into the gym, like it'll strike like every now and then, but never like on the mats. I'm too, I guess, preoccupied with other things. So.
And earlier when you were saying, you don't have a musical background, you're not a musician or anything. I will say, from my own ear listening, I would have never guessed that listening to your album. You know, it's like not that I'm trying to like poke holes in or anything, but like even listening to it again, I was like, let me see if I can just catch something. It's like, nope, it's produced extremely well. It sounds great, dude. I would have never guessed that this was even a first time project for you either. It sound like you've been working on this. It sound like you're a veteran, basically.
I
Um,
appreciate that, man,
it,
a lot.
uh, and just off of that thought too, because again, it sounded like to me like, oh, this sounds like this would be his second or third album. Are there any plans, like just in the background right now for a follow up?
I'm leaving it open. Yeah, I might do a volume two, gift wrap volume two, but for now, I'm kind of just I don't know, still trying to see how this one is received. Because I mean, I know I went in with the whole idea that this was going to be like a niche album, niche music. It's only for the jiu-jitsu community, and people that don't do jiu-jitsu or combat sports, like they're not really going to get it. So I'm not expecting to chart or anything like that, like nothing like that. But as long as it's well received in the jiu-jitsu community, that's like mission accomplished for me, for sure.
Sure. Absolutely. And that's another thing too. Even when listening to it, yes, I know that it's jujitsu themed and there's that connection. But there were a couple times today, just kind of as I'm walking around the property and I'm listening, I got lost in the music in itself as well. So I mean, there could be some people outside of our community that catches like, dude, this is pretty good. So
Oh yeah,
hopefully, as time goes, and you decide, hey, I am going to do a volume two. I'm here for it.
cool. Yeah, if people outside the community do dig it, I'm all for that. Yeah, that's I guess part of the plan too. But mostly it's for the culture, for the community.
Good. And again, saying that this is your first step into music. If you got a aspiring rapper upcoming, thinking, you know what, I think I want to give this a try. Not even necessarily in the jiu-jitsu community, but just in general. A kid comes up to you and asks for some advice. What's something that you would tell them, that might help them out?
Definitely pick a artist with a style that you like and try to emulate their style as much as possible. I mean, not try to like bite them, like be original, but like as far as how they construct a verse, like study that, and how they I guess pull elements from pop culture or from their own life and experience and put it into their songs. Like that's the kind of stuff that I looked out for, when I'm trying to write my own stuff. Because I know Nas he's a storyteller. The way he vividly paints a picture with words, like that's it's just something that's so creative and unique and awesome to me. Just to be like a urban poet. Yeah. So yeah, pick an artist that you like and try to absorb as much as you can from them. And then it kind of sounds like a opposing advice, but on the other hand, study artists that you don't know. Ask friends like, hey, what do you like listening to right now? And try to download those albums and listen to those artists and take cues and stuff from the music that you don't listen to as well, just to be well rounded, stay kind of current, and whatnot. So that'd be my advice. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good advice. I mean, like as I'm listening to it again, if I decided, hey man, I want to, you know, try to get back into this music thing, that's good sound advice. I mean, especially, not just again, you want to pick a style, but also you want to, like you said, venture out and listen to different things as well to kind of get a feel for the music. So definitely helpful, I'm sure. Now, kind of switching back to jiu-jitsu a little bit, who would you say is influence or influential to you on the mats?
For sure, I'd have to say Marcelo Garcia. So when I first started jujitsu, like I would just go on YouTube and I'd watch all of his matches, like his performances at ADCC, and like other tournaments in Brazil and stuff like that. And just the way that he moves and just how he, I don't know, creates. Like he has his own unique style. Like if you were to like have like a I don't know, like two shadows of two guys grappling, and you could point out one and be like, oh, that's definitely Marcelo Garcia, just by the way that he moves. Like he's just so unique, and one of the greatest of all time. So yeah, he's definitely my biggest influence.
He's that kind of guy. Just looks like a regular dude, and meanwhile, he could dismantle most people. Yeah, I know.
Savage.
Listening to the album, there's a couple mentions in there. I mean, you have a song called Bachata, so
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. And then, um, mentioning Helio Gracie, obviously, and just when I hear the name Gracie, I mean, obviously there's Hoist, and then there's always Audra Gracie is a big one in there as well.
Yeah,
So
he's the GOAT.
he's just a different kind of human. So it's like, again, listen to your album and hearing these names. I'm like, dude, like he's tuned in. And as far as like I ask about advice for musicians trying to step into the arena, as far as grapplers, a new grappler stepping onto the mats, what's some advice you would give them for a first timer coming into the game?
It would kind of be the same as what I said, like musically, like pick a grappler whose style you like and try to emulate the way that they move and the moves that they do. Like for me, like it was obviously Marcelo, and so I would try to play a lot of butterfly. And I feel like now my butterfly game is like halfway decent, and so I'm always trying to work to get it better and work on new moves and transitions and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely pick out a grappler that's good that you like to watch, whose matches are exciting, who obviously wins a lot, and just try to like try to absorb as much as you can from watching their videos. And if they have instructionals out there, like get those and study the way that they teach and the moves that they teach and stuff like that. So that'd be my advice.
Definitely helpful there. Speaking of other grapplers, for Funzy, if you could pick any grappler and think, hey, you know what, this guy might have some bars, who would you assume? as a grappler might be able to rap and also then say, hey, you know what? I might want to collaborate with this guy.
Tough question.
As of right now, you're my rapping jiu-jitsu expert. So this question is only for you. I'm not asking anyone this question because they don't know.
Well, I know for a fact that Nathan Mendelsohn, he's got bars. Because, we did a song together on the album called Open Mat Anthem. And so, he brought the heat with his verse. And the funny thing is, like, he was writing and recording the verse, I think, between, like, two big tournaments. So, like, that's major props to him. And shout outs for, again, working with me on the song and just doing it between those two tournaments and teaching and competing and training, and writing and recording all at the same time. So that's a big props. So yeah, Nathan Middleton for sure. I don't know anybody else who's got bars. I don't really know. If I were to guess, it's gonna sound weird, but I feel like Gary Toman would be able to put something. It seems like he's got a lot of like hidden talents. So I don't know why.
Yeah, he just following that guy on social media and then seeing him going from jiu-jitsu to MMA. It's like, look, that guy looks like he could do anything. So, yeah, good call. With your upcoming match in April, are you going to come out to one of your songs or pick other artists to come out to?
I haven't decided yet. I would. For me, it's weird. Like I feel weird walking out to one of my own songs. Like I absolutely love it when other people like walk out to my music. I'm like, yeah, let's go. But like me walking out to my own song, I'm just like, is this weird? I don't know. It feels kind of weird. So I don't know. I haven't decided. So we'll see. Be a game time decision.
You're definitely really cool and just humble about it all too, because it's like, growing up, I have friends that were trying to get into the music business, and there was no humbleness to them at all. It was all like, I'm going to be the next big thing. It's like, relax. We're in Columbia, Maryland. Chill. We got Ed Norton. That's what we got out of Columbia, Maryland, and that's it. Relax.
Yeah, Logic too. Logic's out of Maryland.
So yeah, we like in Maryland, we've got artists, like out Silver Spring, Baltimore, stuff like that. And then it's like the little suburb of Columbia, Maryland. It's like, come on, dude, relax. I mean, that doesn't mean they can't, be creative and really put it into work, but it's still be humble about it. Don't be out there thinking like I'm the greatest. Like, no, you're pretty good. Relax. You're really good.
Yeah.
But there's still objective. Yeah. Don't like your poop smells too. Relax. If you and the team went out to karaoke, just as a team, like, hey, let's go on out. Let's like have a team night out, and y'all see a karaoke bar. What song you putting on?
Probably put on Gazillion Ear, MF Doom. Just like rap. It's like, just anything. I don't know, I'd probably put on something by Marvin Gaye.
Okay. All right. Marvin Gaye's not a bad choice. So that's cool. It's weird because it's like when I listen to the album and then we're talking, it's like it always feels like, dude, there's two different personalities here. And just going back to the album, it's not like listen to the album, it sounds like, oh, this guy's knucklehead, or he's trouble. Like, no, but it's like it's almost kind of like there's this, like, as we're talking, like there's this real humbleness and like just kind of bashfulness I'm listening to you on the album. It's like, this dude is like coming for the world. Was the one track, I think, was it Ordinary Day? For some reason, like, listen to that one. I had to play it back. Like, I listened to it, I was like, went back to it again. And that's what kind of made me, ask, like, have you had to use your jiu-jitsu in any kind of outside self-defense situation. But listen to you on that track, there was just like, it was very, it could also be like the content of the song was very powerful, but just like
Yeah.
listen to that one specific was like, okay, like there's some force behind that voice. And I don't like talking to, it's like isn't it cool that you are this humble? Because again, like I said, as some friends growing up, and it was like they weren't necessarily very humble. And it's like, just, it's always good to understand, like, look, I did this, I did it for community, and at no point, even when you were putting out posts about it, at no point did it ever feel like you're saying like, hey guys, look at me, look at me, look at me. It was more like, I got this project, it's dropping on this date. And I kept an eye on it. I was well aware. I was like, all right, because I was looking forward to it. And let me tell you, as a listener, well worth the wait. It was a treat. So thank you for that.
Shoot, my pleasure. Thank
Um,
you for listening to it.
Absolutely. And just kind of as we're wrapping up here, I guess one last thing I want to ask you, as you're getting ready for your April event, that'll be on Flow Grappling. I'll try to uh, add that to the calendar to make sure we check it out, and also mention it quite a bit on BJJ Wiki. Get people's eyes on it. With the upcoming event in April for you, and the excitement for that, as long as COVID doesn't shut the rest of the world down once again, are there any plans to, you know, travel and do like Pans, Masters Worlds, stuff like that down the pipeline, or you just kind of staying local and, um, kind of working on that circuit?
Um, my coach is really encouraging us to do like as many tournaments and competitions as possible. So if there's stuff that comes up before April, I would definitely love to compete in that as well. Because I mean, experience is never a bad thing. So if I go out there win or lose, still experience and being able to compete under pressure. And the pressure of just like traveling and competing is different. And to be honest, that's something that I've never done. I've never traveled to a different state to compete. I've always done local tournaments. So that'd be another thing to do, to get outside my comfort zone and test myself, and just prepare myself for bigger challenges. Yeah, for sure. So,
Okay. All right. I know in February they have the Europeans coming up in Rome, and I have a couple friends. One friend that's in Madrid that's doing it, and I have a friend that's in Atlanta. I think she's in Virginia, but she's going to travel, hit Atlanta. She's trying to hit Atlanta because the Atlanta Open is that weekend. So on her layover, she's going to try to go compete at the Atlanta Open, hop on a plane to Rome, and then get ready for the Europeans. So like,
jeez,
just trying to make sure, just trying to test your crazy. Like, are you
serious.
like, competing is one thing, but then there's next level psychopathy. I'm gonna make sure I message her and let her know, like, I encourage what you're doing, but I think you're a lunatic. Um, but yeah, absolutely, yeah, compete as much as you can, and that experience carries over. So I applaud you. I'm not a competitor myself. I am for sure a hobbyist, but my hat goes off to all of you that step out on the mat and compete. You guys are true champions. So I look forward to catching you in April, and leading up to that. Again, if we can find some time, get you back on here and have a discussion about that as well. But thank you for doing this again. I definitely appreciate you with your patience and in my failed internet. Hopefully, look, if next time we sit down to do this, my internet acts up again, I'm just gonna assume that it's you. Like you're messing with
Man,
my
it probably is.
wires. Right? Like after we hang up here, I'm gonna go and check. I swear, if my TV starts working fine, I'm I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm probably just not gonna watch TV the rest of the night. But Lear, thank you very much for doing this. Do you have any shout outs or mentions that you like to throw out there?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for having me on the podcast. It's definitely been a pleasure. I want to give a shout out to all my coaches and teammates at Voyage Martial Arts, to the BJJ scene in Michigan in general. I feel like it's a really cool community, and it's growing, exploding right about now. So, big shout out to everybody out there. To my family back in Massachusetts. To the Fouts family, Sean, Michelle, and Corey for getting me into jiu-jitsu. Just to let's see, Gospel Grappler, God and Geese, and Off Your Back, PJJ. So big shout outs. Oh, also
Yeah.
to Throne Music Studios in Southfield, Michigan. Uh, Produced the whole album there, so got everything done there, my recording and everything. So big shout out to Throne Music.
Right. Excellent, excellent. And I'll see if I can find them and mention them in the show notes as well. Um, thank you for that, and thank you for being on here. And to all the listeners, thank you as always for supporting the show. Thank you for tuning in. To apologize, this episode is a day late, but hey, better late than never, right? So thank you everybody for being there for the show. Big shout out to my good friends Eric and Allie out there in Denver, Colorado. They curate and run Armbar Attic on Instagram and the website as well. So go check out the site and grab yourself a rash guard. I got my pre-order. It should be in pretty soon, so I'm excited about that. And big shout out to Compton Social Club. That's my other show. We review beers. That's what we do. And we talk about football and just make terrible jokes. So if you're offended easily, don't listen to it. But if you like hearing what two friends of 30 years just randomly talk about, go check that out too. It's just two guys talking. So if you're bored, go check it out. And also, last shout out here to my newest podcast, So You Like Horror. Episode 1 has been released, and episode 2 will be out at the end of this week. I love horror movies, so I figure why not do a podcast about that as well? So thank you, everyone, for all that you do. Thank you to our guests as well again, Mr. Lear Kirkland. And I listen to it on Amazon. It's on Spotify. It's in the airwaves now. It's called The Gift Wrap, Volume 1. Go check it out, especially if you're in the jiu-jitsu community. You will be very, very pleased, especially if you're into hip hop. So go ahead and check it out. Otherwise, you guys keep listening, and I'm going to continue to make these shows. Thank you, everybody. I love you all, and bye.
Deep with it. Now let me sing a song.